Shri Shri Das Viharini Juki Jai Ho Sab Vaishnavan Ko Jai Shri Krishna. Fresh Kishori Seva Trust reading the Bade Shiksha Patr of Shri Hari Rai Ji. Today is day 45, letter 16, verses 3 to the completion of the chapter, and that will be 10, verse 10, so 3 to 10. This Lord of Vraja makes his devotees forget the struggles of this world. He is very favourable to them and causes them to be very attached to him, thus containing them within his divine reality. Always remember him, Sri Krishna, his all-encompassing grace and his beauty. He accomplishes everything, so we should not harm even an atom. We should not harbour even an atom of anxiety within our hearts. Tika, if you constantly and exclusively remember our beloved Lord of Vraja, serve him and recount his stories, then you can easily forget this world of illusion. Those with whom you have only a superficial relationship and worldly and scriptural concerns. The righteous path of grace-filled devotees, just this, remembrance, service and recounting the pastimes of the Lord, whilst paying absolutely no heed to the material world. The Lord of Vraja is very favourable to his devotees and makes every effort to withdraw their mind from all sides and into himself. Chanting prayers, asceticism, sacrifices, oblations and fasts are the practices of the path of lawful limitations. Time and other factors can be obstacles to all of these. The Lord himself does not stand as the protector therein like he does with the grace-filled practices. For example, for the sake of protecting his devotee Prahalad, the Lord manifested from a stone pillar. Therefore apply your mind sincerely to your service, and this age and time will never obstruct you. The Lord is very favourable to his devotees. He endows them with firm attachment to him, by which they become totally absorbed into him. Contemplate this most compassionate Sri Krishna, whose mercy is described in the Vedas, Shastras and the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 8th canto it is told, the wise know that even if the Lord's name is recited with doubt, mockingly, just for fun, or offensively, it can still dissolve all sins. The recitation of the Lord's name, whether done knowingly or unknowingly, burns the effects of all sins, just as a fire consumes a log of wood. Sri Acharyaji also states in his Navaratna 9 Jewels treatise, when those who have dedicated themselves with or without proper understanding, agyanad atva gyanat kritamat nivedanam, should have no concerns about the world or scriptural ritual, etc., then what to say of those who have established their very life force with Sri Krishna? From all these statements, the understanding should arise that serving the Lord and remembering him with or without proper knowledge invites his grace. In the stories of the Sri Mahaprabhuji's 84 Vaishnavas, we read that Sri Gadadhar Das wanted some spinach for his service, and Madhav Das brought it to him. The simple act endowed with a devotional heart. So powerful is service to the Lord. Thus the Lord's kindness and propensity to bless is described in the Shastras. Therefore, when the Lord takes us as his own, he perfects all our actions. Accomplished devotees thus never unduly worry about their worldly and scriptural success or their spiritual upliftment and salvation. Verse 5. There is nothing to be concerned about, because Sri Krishna, the ocean of grace, blesses all his devotees, the pure and the impure. The Lord has promised to cherish his devotees and bless them, and this promise is true, especially for those devotees who dedicate their thoughts, words and deeds to him. Therefore he is known as the ocean of grace, and as is described in Sri Acharyaji's Trividanamavali, the 3 types of names treatise. Bhaktajana Kalpa Vriksha, which means a wish-fulfilling tree to his devotees, and Bhaktadina, dependent on the devotees. There are so many other names stated there with the same implication. The Lord can accomplish everything most perfectly, so what do we have to worry about? Verse 6. In the next 5 verses, Sri Hari Rai Ji describes his condition in order to teach the devotees about developing a humble heart. I have no good association. On the contrary, I am regularly in bad company, and so my mind is going round and round in a cycle of worldly pleasures. Now Sri Hari Rai Ji describes, even though I should have no anxiety but only pure faith in the Lord's protection, still the association of great devotees, so essential to avoiding the obstructions which bad association brings, is lacking. This good association is very hard to find in this age of struggle, but bad association flourishes. Bad association can fill your heart with desires for sense gratification despite your devotional practices, and these desires close your heart to the Lord's entry therein. In his Sannyasa Nirane, Conclusions on Renunciation, treatise Sri Mahaprabhuji teaches, the Lord does not even enter the heart of one whose body is overcome with worldly desires. These and other teachings tell us that bad company can influence us to be overwhelmed by mundane cravings. My mind is wandering round and round as if on a spinning discus. I have no faith in the Lord. Because of this anxiety, I suffer innumerable types of worldly grief, and as a result, my intelligence is corrupted. Verse 7. At this time, I have no other comfort other than the lotus feet of Sri Acharyaji Mahaprabhuji. My mind is confused because of my keeping bad company and becoming attached to sense gratification. Therefore, I am suffering many types of grief. I cannot find a pure devotee with whom to associate, who will help me in these terrible times. I take shelter in Sri Vallabhacharyaji's lotus feet and trust them as my only guide. Indeed, only they can help me. Here, Sri Hariraji teaches that in this present age of struggle, only surrender to Sri Acharyaji's feet will grant the perfect results of devotion. Without this shelter, even if you perform endless acts of devotion, you will not find liberation from the impurities arising from bad company and this impure age, and you will remain attached to sensual activities and wander around as if tied to a wheel. Those acts of devotion will bear no fruit, therefore Vaishnavas following the path of grace should undoubtedly firmly grasp Sri Acharyaji's lotus feet as their only shelter. Verse 8. The forces of time have made my mind slip from its mood of surrender. Now it is continually wrapped up in worldliness, and so my heart is full of fear. Tika 8. I have heard about the agonies of this age and that there is no agony equal to that of the cycle of birth and death. I have heard this over and over from the elders. I am stuck in this worldly mindset. This age is so difficult wherein all knowledge is suppressed and it seems only worldly activities are possible and I am involved in them, thus my heart is full of fear. When King Parikshit was struck by this fear then, by the Lord's good grace, he was able to meet the great devotee Shukdevji, who removed his fear. The fear that is in my mind could be removed through association with pure devotees who have been blessed by Sri Acharyaji. However, they are hard to find and my heart still trembles with fear. Verse 9. Who can fathom compassionate Sri Krishna's scheme? I cannot, and so my mind is distressed. Tika 9. Who can know the Lord's intentions? Really, no one can find them out, even if they try in many, many ways. If the Lord takes mercy and reveals his plan, then only can it be known. As a result, your devotional life of service and remembrance with body, mind and speech will be facilitated. Without his mercy, it is impossible to have unshakable faith. That is why I am dejected. Without his grace, everything and every activity is permeated with sadness. Verse 10. Everything else can be understood by reading the Vaishnava Premji's letter. Reading it has refreshed and enlightened my heart. Tika 10. The devotee Premji has sent me a letter about this. It needs to be read carefully. It tells how we belong to the merciful Lord. This knowledge disperses our sadness a little, and we can then patiently await the granting of the Lord's grace, for he will grant it when we serve him, whether knowingly or unknowingly. In his Navaratna 9 Jewels treatise, Sri Vallabhacharyaji has stated, for one who has dedicated themselves to Sri Krishna, whether with or without proper understanding, there are no worldly worries or concerns. Therefore, surrender your life to Sri Krishna and your mind will be cured when the Lord blesses you. Thus concludes letter 16, verse 10 of letter 16. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho ji, Shri Vallabhacharya ji ki jai, Shri Hari Rai ji ki jai, Sab Vaishnavan ko jai Shri Krishna Sadar, Sa Prem Sa Denya Sa Nanda. Blissfully, with love, and respectfully and with humility, Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Shri Ras Viharini Ju ki jai ho, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.